Hey folks, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a knife by CRKT, something you don't see here very often, and that's because, I don't know, I've just been frequently disappointed by CRKT's budget knives. This time we've got a knife designed by Ken Onion. The fact that you could get it with D2 steel or 8CR13 sort of made me more interested in trying to get my hands on one of these. So I've got one of these with the D2 option, and maybe you're interested as well. We've got a sort of thin knife, thin handle, thin blade. The blade thickness, the real actual thickness isn't really that thin. What I'm talking about is this depth here. It's a decent, smaller, but yet basic full length kind of knife. And if you're interested, you should stick around and watch this. It's coming at you right now. Keep watching. Okay, so here we go. Flip it open. It is a flipper knife. Size comparison quickly. Here is a Rat 1. Let's do them straight across instead. I like to line up the pivot point so you can see a Rat 1 is longer in the handle and a little bit longer in the blade. If you don't know how big a Rat 1 is, go and get one. I think you'll be happy to have it in your collection. You can get the most budget versions of them with 8CR13 MOV steel. No, AUS 8. What am I thinking? AUS 8 steel, which is a reasonable budget steel. Or you can get them now with D2 steel, which is what this one is. It's one of the first ones that came out with D2. Model 1 D2, it says right there. And this was a limited edition version of it. The first ones that came out with D2 with this color handle. And I'm happy to have it. So this guy's just a little bit smaller. Not an awful lot smaller. It's a good size knife. Bandit sticking his nose all over here. Yeah? You happy, buddy? Yeah? Good boy. And this knife, it's got some good things going for it. It's also got a few cons. First off, let's do the obvious stuff. It's, a Western style tanto blade, which means it's a knife that's got a flat blade there, and then it's got an angled grind going up to the tip. So a transition point there, changing the angle. This one's got a slight belly on this section here. And then we've got a swedge across the top there. And, that makes it look like it's a little bit thinner than it is, but the blade's not terribly thin. Some jimping at the top here. So this is, a coated blade. It's the black oxide coating that they put on there. Herlical is the model name by Ken Onion Design, and there's the model number, the K500 GKP, and the XP is the 8CR13 MOV version. We've got aluminum handles that have been anodized, and yes, they're starting to show wear already, although they've only been handled for my testing. So there's some wear right there. There's some wear right there. There's some wear right there. Yeah, this anodization is not super durable. It's not like I've been throwing it on the floor or anything, on concrete or anything. It's just not super durable. Another thing, we've got another knife that doesn't have a lanyard hole. And that's been coming across my table, my workbench a little more frequently recently. But the anodization looks nice. You can see that there's different grinding here on the shape of the handle. So it's not just flat, you've got different pieces on there. And fairly comfortable in hand. My hands are between large and extra large, between 10 and 11 in the European sizes. And it might feel a little small in my hand, actually, but not bad. We've got some jimping on the top of the flipper tab. So right there's the flipper tab. It's a little hard to see in this light. Maybe that shot will do. So it's rounded over, but it doesn't work well to use a push button method, which means pushing pretty much straight down to make it open. You really have to be pulling back on the light switch method to have this blade deploy well. The detent is pretty good. There you go, the last little bit, you can hear it, and holds it pretty well. Lockup is almost in the middle, not quite in the middle yet, as you can see right there. Close to the middle. A little bit of jimping on the liner lock release. Inset liners or recessed liners. The alignment is a little bit off, but it's not rubbing anywhere. And pocket clip is deep carry pocket clip, just a little bit sticking out. About 1/8 of an inch sticks out of your pocket right there. Not bad, especially since it's all dark and it's a right side only deep carry pocket clip. The pocket clip's quite functional. The way the spoon, well, there's no spoon, but the way the end comes up, it slides onto pants quite well. Now the mating surface that it locks up on is very small. It's that little silvery tab section right there. So there's just a small section, but that's all that's needed. People who say it needs to be more, no, that's all that's really needed. And it holds well, no blade plate up and down, side to side. There's a little bit now, and I think it's been coming a little bit loose during use. I'll have to put my VC3 thread mate in there to help it keep from coming loose, I guess. It's an interesting knife. Let's refocus this back down on the table because we are now going to go over all of the dimensions and all that information. Now, from the factory, the cutting edge is 170, which is pretty good. It's not dull from the factory, that's for sure. It's pretty good. The weight of the knife, it's 101 grams, which is 3.55 ounces, so basically 3.5 ounces. The blade length and the cutting edge are the same length. We're talking 8.92 centimeters, 3.51 inches, so a 3.5 inch blade. The thickness of the blade stock is 3.12 millimeters, which is 0.123, basically 1/8 of an inch thick. The blade depth, that's this dimension right here. And it's just where the jimping ends is where I measured it, but just on that last jimp. 1.73 centimeters, 0.68 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, it's a bit thick, 0.74 of a millimeter, 0.029 of an inch. I like it to be 1/2 millimeter thick right there instead of 3/4 of a millimeter thick. Not bad though. You know, it's not terrible or anything. It's just I prefer it to be a little thinner. D2 steel can definitely handle being thinner, and so can 8CR13 for that matter. The grind angle. On the side that it says helical canyon, 17.3 degrees. On this side, it's 24.4 degrees. So this side is on much more of an angle than the other side is. Of course, I'm over-dramatizing that, exaggerating. That's not terrible. And of course, I can sharpen it up on my sharpening system. It's not good though. I'd rather have it, you know, closer to the same on both sides, you know, even if it's going to be off. But that's just the nature of sharpening when people sharpen the way they sharpen. When factories sharpen the way they sharpen. Now on to the handle. The handle length is 11.65 centimeters, 4.59 inches. So it seems a little bit long, but it's not really. Remember, this is 3.5 inches. So having 4.5 here, not bad. The grip area in here is 9.8 centimeters, 3.87 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.453 centimeters, which is 0.565 inches, about 9/16 of an inch. And the handle depth, just over 2 centimeters, 2.02, which is 0.79 of an inch. And when it's closed, it's the same thing because it tucks right in. Might be a little bit bigger right here, but I measured it right about in the middle. And the complete length of this knife, oh, I did it again. It will say right on the top of the screen how many inches it is. 20.7 centimeters, which is 8 and a little bit inches. Okay, so that's the dimensions and the weight and the sharpness and everything. Let's talk about the performance and the price and stuff like that. You can get the knife at several places. CRKT is pretty much available just about anywhere. Let me take a look at my notes here. White Mountain Knives, again, has pretty much the best price, $59.99 for the D2 version. And again, you can save 10% when you use coupon code CCE for Canadian Cutting Edge at checkout. Or you can get the $44.99 version with the 8CR13, and it's got, you know, a bare satin blade instead of a coated one. The price on Amazon is very much the same, but you can't save money. So I've got links down below I got mine on drop. It was then called mass drop, and I saved some money on it there. It's not on mass drop or drop right now. So I will have some links to make it easier for you guys to get them, especially if you're in North America, and I'll try to get some other links for those of you who are from other countries as well. Fit and finish. When I got it, I would have called it good, and now I'm calling it fair plus. So not quite good. I'm not happy that this anodization is starting to wear already, especially since, you know, I haven't used it hard. I've used it, of course. I test all my knives, contrary to the opinion of some. But, you know, just that small bit of anodization coming off, even on this little bit of a ridge there, and of course on the edges that are exposed, you know, here, and a little flake missing here, and then you go back to the other side, and you got some here, and some here, and some here, and some more here, and a little bit on this ridge. Oh, and even right here, it's just not good that it's coming off that easily. You know, it's not inappropriate durability. You know, put a different finish on if it's going to be doing that. But, you know, I like the finish on the blade. Actually, I'm surprised. You don't see any wear on there at all. And I did, you know, I cut through some wood. You know, I was doing some whittling and everything on it. And of course, I cut through some softer materials and, you know, just to see how well behaved the knife is. And yeah, the blade finish is quite good. That's why I still give it the fair plus, an almost good rating. The liner lock with that jimping on there makes it easy to release, you know, when you want to. Not hard at all. Deployment is easy. It's comfortable in the right or left hand. You know, the pocket clip is right side only, so I wish it was right or left. It's a decent knife. Is it worth $60 for the D2 version? I don't think so. I would not buy it again. Let's put it that way. I keep coming back to CRKT because I'm hoping that they're going to impress me one of these days. And probably if I bought some of their knives that cost even more, you know, bumping on the $100 ceiling maybe, or a little bit more, you know, some of their knives are actually very nice, good designs. Like I wanted to get the jumbo, what's it called? The jumbo cross, the crossbones jumbo version. I've been really wanting to get that one, but it's out of my budget, so I haven't been able to get it yet. And, you know, be that as it may. We've got a locking pivot pin right here. And let me show you pictures of the inside of it right now. So, and that's the action. That's why the action's quite good. It's got a, as you saw, an inset stop pin. So you don't see a stop pin up here. It's actually in the body of the blade right there on the handle. Let's see how well it goes in and out of a pocket. Where did I put my tester display? There it is. There's my pants that I used to demo with. You see that lip comes over that easily, slides right in. Now these screws are a little bit high. I wish they'd use flush screws when they don't put enough space in there, but you can get it past there. And then you've got just a very little bit sticking out. But as I showed, almost each time you put it in, and, you know, it gets caught right there. And so you end up having it like that and not... Oh, come on. Yeah, it really is that tricky to get it that deep. So that's another little con, and that's because there's not a lot of space right there. Because this section here is raised, and then you've got the raised screws already as well. If they would have used flush screws, then there'd be enough space there. It's just not thought through well enough. And you really don't... I don't expect that, and yet it keeps coming from companies like CRKT. I would expect them to have thought through all of those things and just covered all of those bases. But I'm sure Ken Onion's design, his prototypes worked better than this, because I like Ken Onion, and that's one of the reasons why I got this. But there you go. So let me just summarize briefly. Good jimping on the flipper, decent grip. Once the blade's deployed, you know, the handle's a bit of a guard. The flipper tab's not much of a guard. There's a little bit of a bump there and the jimping on the spine there. You know, it's good, secure in hand. I like that. It comes fairly sharp from the factory. Being a Tanto, the tip is pretty durable and strong. Lockup is good. Another con that I didn't talk about yet is this anodization feels slippery. You know, there is some texture to it, but it's a little bit slick to me. I want more grip on the handle part itself instead of relying on, you know, the jimping here and relying on that jimping, you know, to get a, you know, a solid grip. Not terrible, but it's a little slipperier than I'd like it to be. The anodization chips too easily. The sharpener's choil is poorly done. If you see a close-up of this right here, the reason the steel comes down further right at this little tip is because it's still thicker before it ends. So that sharpener's choil should have been further that way, and that's a perennial problem with budget knives. If I made that sharpener's choil larger myself, then it would be all shiny down here. It wouldn't have the, you know, the black oxide coating on it anymore. So I'll probably just leave it that way. If the Patreon winner at the end of August, well, beginning of September, doesn't choose this knife, then I'll be willing to sell this knife. And it's going to have my sharp custom edge on it. And, you know, it's going to be nice. As you notice, the odd time my finger flips off of here when I'm trying to flip the knife open, not that often. And that's about it. That's about it for this knife. What do you think of this knife? Put your comments down in the comment section below. And if you really want to buy one of your own, like I said, I've got links down below to make it easy. And if you're bored with knives, you can check out my other channel called Goods, Gadgets, and Gear. I haven't posted anything there lately, but I'm going to be posting some more stuff on there soon. And that's for anything that's not men EDC, well, women as well. It's not EDC kind of related stuff. It's more other stuff, and it can be just about anything on that channel. So here you go. Thank you for liking it, the video. Thank you for sharing it with somebody. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate it. And if you're one of my Patreon supporters, thank you. Thank you very much. It really does make a big difference. Remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye now.